I'd like you to hear for a moment about two people who I knew. One person's still alive today, the other person has graduated from this world, the other person has passed on. One person, the first person, is a person who always has had lots of friends. Somehow he always manages to find time for them and makes them feel special. When people are in trouble, he has an amazing ability to listen, a big heart, grandeur, consciousness, and always good advice to share. This person has endless cups of teas, and he's always there. He's as well always ready to raise money for local charities. And it's interesting to know because when he went through a bad patch, when his mother was nifta, so people came around him and people supported him. They cared, shared, supported, and encouraged him. And it's interesting because when I spoke to him, he was so surprised. He was so surprised. He says, so special that so many people came to support me. The other person was an elderly chap, and he died quite recently, a nice man. And he very much kept to himself. He got up in the morning and he went through his day and quite placid. If you smiled, he would nod his head at you, but he would never offer the first smile. He would never offer the first nod of the head. And this is how really he lived his life. He was a decent person, and he had a good wife and good children. When things were difficult for him, when he became ill, and he was in hospital, not many people came to visit him. And I remember sitting with him and he said, it's a bit lonely. I thought maybe more people would come, but okay, that's how it is. So I'd like to share something. And that is, the more you put in, the more you get back. The more you put in, the more you get back. And this is something very important to remember, because for so many people, the reality is if a person just keeps to themselves, if a person does not work on their relationships, then how could you expect to be seen and heard by others if you're not there to be seen and heard? And where this is leading is as following, that so many people in relationships, the interesting reality is, depressingly, I hear time and time again, is that the spouse is not there. So sometimes a person could be there for everybody else, unlike this first person I'm speaking about, because he was there for his spouse as well. But I've seen that sometimes people could be there for everybody else, helping everybody else, but they are not there for their spouse. And then they have this expectation that their spouse should be there for them. But again, the fuel of relationship is being an activist in seeing and hearing the other. The fuel of relationship is creating a reality where you see and hear the other, you experience the other. And the more fuel there is between two healthy, strong individuals, the greater the relationship can be. Let me share with you an interesting idea. We call this the ball of Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum is a ball, so to speak. It's a space. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a space. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu put into the space. And we can take out of the space and we can put into the space as well. Now, this space is a space that's alive, it's malleable, it's dynamic. What you put in, you put out. And in between all human beings, and I'm going specifically into husband and wife, there's this sacred space between us, this energetic space between us. And the question is, what am I putting into this space? Am I putting love, respect, the dignity into this space? Because what will come out the other side What that person will absorb and receive is what you put into the space. It's an energetic space between all of us. And as we said, this should be a sacred space. This space, chas v'shalom, could be filled with toxicity. We don't want that. That's not helpful, healthy for us. That doesn't make us happy and joyful in life. But in this space, when we can imagine the space between husband and wife, and each party is constantly filling this energetic space with love, with joyfulness, with happiness, with humor, with respect, with positivity, then that's usually what the relationship is going to be. Because two strong, healthy individuals coming together, two strong, defined individuals coming together, usually creates a really healthy couple. And that healthy, loving, supportive couple creates hopefully a good, wholesome, secure family. And that family is going to be a strong part of the community. And each community is a member of our ancient nation of Israel. And it starts by each individual taking responsibility to give to the relationship. As we say in our community, what's the most precious gift you could bring to any relationship? It's personal growth. Cosmic responsibility to own that which is going on in your life. And to always make sure you're giving to the relationship. Make sure you bring your Avodas HaKodesh home. You bring your Avodas Hashem home. As we said, sometimes people are so good to others out the house. And then at home, there's a spiritually starving husband or wife. We don't want that. That's not helpful for us. You want to be full, happy and healthy. And your spouse is wanting to be full, happy and healthy. So we have to take responsibility for our own self-care, mental health. And then we have to shine that warmth, that light upon the other, filling up one another in a healthy way with, again, the utmost dignified love and respect, making sure the other is okay, making sure the other is happy and healthy. And the analogy we're saying is there's this simsum, there's this space between us all. And we choose what we fill this space with. It should always be full of light, full of love, full of happiness, full of dignified respect. It should be full of being seen, heard, encouraged, supported. Having a space where there's this listening to each other, seeing and hearing each other. It's so easy to take it for granted. It's so easy to forget. And that's why we constantly have to remind ourselves day in, day out. Have I seen and heard? Have I experienced my spouse? Have they experienced me? Have they seen and heard me? Have I filled up this space in between us with goodness? Because again, what you put into this space comes out the other side. And the space is malleable. The space is hungry, so to speak. We don't want to starve this space of all the nutrition that's needed to uphold the deepest of relationships.